It's rapid reaction time here on Blue White Tailgate Podcast. Frank Bodani of the York Daily Record, Mike Gross of the Gross Rational Product, and myself. We are standing in the tunnel here in Beaver Stadium because we were asked politely not to go out to the field. It's a little cold right now, guys.
It's a little cold. Yeah, it is. Right.
You avoid Johns. Mike's the only one that has them. Just for anybody that wants to know.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice and warm. We're a little bit cold. But Matt Campbell's introductory press conference, I thought he hit a grand slam. I mean, he dropped all the right words. Boosters, the money should be piling up there pretty quick. But yeah, I thought he hit a grand slam, and Pat Kraft seems to have landed this 747 that at times seemed like all four engines were on fire.
A couple of things about this that I think I was struck with. Number one, he talked a lot about geography, being closer to his family and his parents and his grandparents and all that stuff. He's from Ohio, ended up playing his college football at Mountain Union. That was one of the things that I didn't really think about before this, that he said was a factor. And then another one was, Penn State has much better ability to go out and spend the money to build a roster than Iowa State does. It's not even close. It's not even remotely close. And then the other thing is, it seemed weird that Campbell only came in so late in the process. His explanation of that when we had the little breakout with him was, I don't want to talk about another job during the season, which made sense. So those were three things that kind of struck me a little bit.
Yeah. I think he threaded the needle. I think he showed you how he threaded the needle, meaning Penn State with Matt, right? Because they're getting a football coach. And we know that because of what he did at places like Iowa State and Toledo. But they're getting someone, I think, that fits Penn State. Like you mentioned about how being close to family is important. I just, everything about him is stable, foundational, which I think is what Penn State needs right now to slow things down a little bit and just, because he knows, like, the resources are here for him. He acknowledged that today. Again, you just need somebody that, what can they do with them on a very, like, just foundational type basis. We know we can do it.
I know the game has changed a little bit, and what's come around college football is completely different from when Jim Tressel took over at Ohio State. But he is well known in the state of Ohio. Penn State still does a lot of their recruiting. He mentioned the 6 to 8 hour length. Obviously, Maryland and Virginia is going to be very important. But you want to compete against Ohio State. Ohio State still takes top Ohio guys. Michigan still takes top Ohio guys. Penn State, he referenced Todd Black, which when Penn State was on its prime, they were taking guys from Ohio. Remember, they were this like weird place out to the east that nobody ever heard about. And I know times have changed, but that is a very important thing because Penn State has not done very well in the state of Ohio when it comes to recruiting.
Well, it sounds like this is a guy who has done it with less for a long time. Now I feel like it sounds like he's looking forward to doing it without less, with more, and having the resources to do it. I think he's going to be able to recruit. I mean, I don't know why he wouldn't. And an important piece here is they have a GM who's coming with him from Iowa State, who's already here, who sounds like he's going to be the sort of modern version, college football version of a GM, which I think is significant that he's already here. He's already on the job.
I think it's people don't understand maybe that how this could be the best of everything for Penn State because Matt doesn't promote himself. He acknowledged that. He doesn't have an agent. Okay. He doesn't have an agent. And he coached at Iowa State, which he basically said had the least amount of money to pay their players in like the whole world.
I was really struck with that, how open he was about that and how dramatic that apparently is.
Right. So Joe Moorhead talked about that last year.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. That's true.
So who knows about what he can do. So everybody's saying, well, if you can't get the big guy, get the guy that's coming up, right? Everybody talked about Bob Chesney. Yeah. The guy hasn't done it yet. Well, to me, with Matt Campbell, you're kind of getting possibly both. Yeah. Because you have a guy that already proved it. A guy that's proved it. But yet he's still only 46. He's only ever been able to do it at Toledo and Iowa State, which he said has, a quarter of the resources that Penn State has. So you're kind of getting the guy with experience. But he's hungry. He's 46. He's still on the way up.
That was his term, by the way, a quarter of the resources at Iowa State that he's going to have here at Penn State.
And he did pretty well. And that's why when people looked at this record that he has against top 25 teams and top 10 teams, not all those programs are created equal. And when you're at a peer level program, you should have peer level results. And I think that's what a lot of fans were upset with, obviously, with the James Franklin era. But we're not talking about the James Franklin era. We're talking about the Matt Campbell era. And that started almost immediately with emotion. Were you guys struck with how much emotion, Frank, start with you, because you've seen more of these, in your time as a writer than I have. Were you struck with the amount of motion that he had at the podium?
Yeah, I was, but I don't know him, right? But yes, I was from the beginning. I guess I didn't expect it coming out right from his first words, being choked up. And maybe the enormity of kind of the moment, I think, and what he's actually getting.
And then his wife and kids are right in front of him there, that was part of it.
I didn't get the sense that he grew up saying, I want to be the head coach at Penn State. This is my ultimate dream. But yet, a place like this, the things that he knew about it, yeah, it kind of would be. And he's actually being introduced into a situation that very few people in his profession ever get a chance to do.
Mike, not only talking about the emotion, but the whole Terry Smith dynamic. Him and Pat Kraft were both very open about that. I thought Pat was a little bit, Terry's a great coach, all this stuff was a little bit over the top because everything Pat Kraft said was true.
Pat is a little over the top. Let's face it.
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
Has there been any kind of audio tapes to try?
That's my sense. That's my sense.
That's where we were going next. But the Terry Smith, obviously there's a relationship there. Matt Campbell said he wanted Terry Smith on the staff.
Yeah, it seemed like that was, and the way both he and Kraft talked about it was as if that was almost something they agreed upon from the beginning of when they started talking. That's kind of a no-brainer because you got to keep some of these guys around for next year. Some of the guys on the current roster, and obviously Terry Smith can facilitate.
Terry, how much money and what do you need to stay here?
That's what
not to be head coach, but what can we possibly do to get you to stay here?
Yep.
Okay, so they got it done. They got the best in a sense of both worlds in this way too, because if you lose him, what are you doing? Yeah. Yes. What does Matt have to start off with, Matt Campbell, if you don't have Terry in the team? And maybe they have a chance to keep this roster somewhat together.
The big picture on this is it's unbelievable how they landed on their feet after seeming to butcher this process so much. And,
well, maybe they slow played a little bit.
Maybe they slow play. Maybe Pat Kraft is playing four-dimensional chess.
We're also looking at the point that what really became public, the one possible hiring situation at BYU. That's really the only thing that's truly.
That's right.
And he missed on it. Okay. But everybody was looking at that like that was just the latest in a bungled search. Right. But
here's what's interesting about that. At that point, I don't think there's any question that if they could have hired Sataki, they would have.
Oh, yeah.
And yet, who would you rather have? Sataki or this guy? I'd rather have this guy.
Maybe. Yeah, I think
it's not a blowout.
I think I like them both equally for, I think, what they could bring here as a leader, a coach in the present. Now, I think the issue with Sataki might be a little bit that everything is so different from where he's coming from, whereas Matt Campbell relates, like, from his hat, the way at brim, I'm going back to it, like from Ohio, he relates automatically.
He talked coal mines. We have those in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
So, in terms of...
Excellent point. Excellent point.
I'm just saying that's one of those things. So, the last thing I wanted to bring up, because we talked a long time, because, again, I thought Matt Campbell was very impressive. How close did you get the sense regarding the audio leak that Pat Kraft is fortunate to have landed this plane and that Pat Kraft is not having a career change of his own if this plane wasn't landed after that audio leak? He said he was embarrassed. He needs to do better.
He was embarrassed and he apologized.
Yeah, and that's okay. He said that he was asked by 8 or 9 players. Isn't that what he said? He was asked by 8 or 9 players to come and talk to them. And so it wasn't his idea. He wasn't like forcing himself on the.
Well, I don't think that was the problem with it. I don't think that was the problem with the whole thing.
No, but I'm saying, he wasn't like elbowing his way in and
No.
I'm going to talk to you guys.
No.
He certainly was embarrassed by it, but of course we wouldn't know it existed unless one of the players apparently wouldn't have recorded it. And kudos to Bob Flowers, by the way, by asking that question in a way that was diplomatic enough that
Well, and it's true because honestly, for people, I mean, we're all listening, but we're all doing things during this press conference.
Yeah.
We could be posting stuff on X. We're running a live blog of live updates of what they're saying. So, it takes somebody to take a moment back and to not kind of forget.
Yeah.
Like that's
Yeah,
important.
because I almost forgot.
That's important. And I haven't seen anything quite like that maybe in 31 years either.
Eventually,
Let it
narrow
correct
it down
team
to
me.
10 players. Presumably, it's going to be pretty easy you would think, to detect what player it is, because you would think that player doesn't want to be here anymore.
You would think.
Am I correct?
You would think, but I don't know that.
So
you would think, yeah.
I mean, what do you do with that player? If it's such a small group,
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I don't know. That's a weird one in what has been a weird 2025 for this.
And I guess Penn State doesn't play Oregon next year, right?
No.
So we don't have to worry about that. Okay. So that's
go to Oregon, which if you travel outside of Eugene, apparently
a lot of weirdos.
Some characters,
A lot of weirdos out there.
What we've gathered. So I'm gonna know. So I'll fit right in. So all right, plenty of stuff to talk about regarding Matt Campbell coaching in the bowl game. He's going to hit that right away. We'll get into it later on full episodes about what type of coach Matt Campbell is. Football CEO, recruiting guru. I know Christian Hackenberg, he said on our show he wants an X's and O's guy. So we'll get into that. And we're going to try to get Matt Millen for you, by the way, on the podcast, because Matt Campbell dropped him as kind of, I say a mentor, but
an interesting group of names that he dropped
on kind of an influence right then and there. So Matt Campbell, a new era begins here at Penn State. For Frank Bodani, New York Daily Record, Mike Rose of the Gross Rational Product, I'm Andrew Kalista. Thanks for following along and watching and listening to the Blue White Tailgate Podcast.